All right, everybody. Welcome to College Football Wraparound here on Wednesday night. And to be honest with you right now, folks, I don't know why my camera is kind of blurry, but I will get that straightened out here in just a second. Here we go. All right, folks. It is college football wraparound time. And a lot to talk about. A lot happened on Saturday I did Tennessee, Virginia, which, to be honest with you, it was a game where Tennessee controlled the game, but we're going to get into that a little bit later. Also, there's another game to talk about. Well, actually, two games after I talk about my rankings, and then I'll have a Q&A time at 8:31. So if you want to ask me any question, you can. And then we got 4 other games. And then at 8:56, I will announce, which you've already seen on the community post. But for those who don't look at the community post, you will see, I'll talk about the game that I'm going to be doing. So with all that being said, let's go ahead and start with my rankings. So as you can see, the top 10, there's not a lot of change, but there is also. Florida State is moving up to number 7. Now, the AP moved them all the way up to number 4. I got them at 7. Didn't move them up too much. Just the first game of the season. Now, I will say, folks, that I do have an error right here. Both Notre Dame and USC are both 2-0, not 1-0. That is on me. I was putting this together early one morning and did not catch myself with the error. So I do apologize for that. But you can see Notre Dame is at number 8, USC at 9. Now, you may be thinking, USC hasn't moved. That's right. I had Notre Dame jump them because here's my thinking, because I did say after watching Notre Dame, the way they beat Navy, that I think Notre Dame could beat USC. So in order for that to be a statement that I'm going to stand by, I've got to put Notre Dame ahead of USC. So in this week's rankings, that's what I did. I moved Notre Dame ahead of USC because I believe at this moment, when you look at this moment of where both teams are, I think Notre Dame's the better team. But we will see because, there's still a long time until that game comes. And then, of course, you got Penn State at number 10. I loved what I saw from Drew Allar. He's going to be a good quarterback. Of course, we can't get ahead of ourselves because it is one game. But I did like what I saw from Penn State. I feel like there's a difference in this quarterback than what they've had in the past. So, of course, we'll see what happens. So, that's our top 10. Of course, you can always go back and look at the community post I put out. But as you can see right there, top 4 matchup in my rankings at least. Alabama against Texas. Now, the first 2 weeks, because Alabama's 1-0. The reason why I had Alabama at number 1 in my preseason ranking, folks, is because I think they're the team that's going to win the championship. That's the way number 1 should be, at least in my opinion. So that is kind of my thinking, because I'm looking at my rankings from best team number 1 to the 25th best team. And as far as, in my opinion, because I think Alabama beats any team in college football. That's the way I have my rankings right now. So that is just how I've got it so far. So moving on to ranks 11 through 25. There you can see it. Number 11, I've dropped LSU. I believe they were 7 last week. Now I've moved them to 11 after the loss. Because, in my opinion, with LSU, I feel like the thing with them is that they had a good first half against Florida State. But in all reality, I had to drop them some way. I thought 4 was pretty good, I think, because I could see them coming back from this loss and really, because I mean, if you remember last year, I mean, that loss did nothing to them. I mean, they still went and won the SEC West. They made the Citrus Bowl. So I mean, it's not like it derailed the whole season. Now, it did affect their chances to get to the playoff because they didn't even get there. But I think LSU's appropriately ranked here. And then what's some other controversial placements that I'm wanting to explain? Go down to if you go down to 22, 23, 24, 25, that is where I want to explain to y'all how I've compiled 22 through 25. So you can see Duke and Colorado are 22 and 23. Clemson and TCU are 24 and 25. Let me explain this, okay? So to begin with, the whole Duke-Clemson thing here, the reason why Clemson moved from 12 all the way down to 24 is because, in my opinion, a team that just lost, okay, Duke just beat Clemson. Now, would it be fair to Duke if what I did was basically put them in the rankings, but then I still had Clemson ahead of them? No. Clemson just lost to Duke. Until the record switched where if Clemson were to be 2-1 and Duke was 1-2, then I would have Clemson ahead of Duke. But that's not the case right now. Duke's 1-0, Clemson's 0-1. Clemson, I still think, is one of the top 24 teams in college football. So, I have them at 24. Their dynasty, I'm telling you folks, I don't think it's over. I think there's a big overreaction to this game because I think when it's all said and done, what I've seen, I think what you're going to see is Clemson and Florida State for the ACC championship. And you're going to have both Clemson and Florida State one-loss teams, and basically the winner of the game of the ACC championship game goes to the college football playoff. I mean, that's basically where we're at. That's a real possibility. And so I think there's a big overreaction to Clemson losing to Duke. Like, people have got to really calm down about this. And then Colorado ahead of TCU because Colorado beat them. And another reason why both Duke and Colorado only got in 22 and 23 is because I don't believe in, if you're unranked, going all the way up to, let's say, 15. I just don't believe that's really accurate because I still think there's better teams than that team that just got in there. I mean, that's just my opinion. So, things could change. In my rankings, there is 2 ranked matchups for the week. You begin with Alabama and Texas, and then you've got Tulane and Ole Miss. And so we will talk more about these games, and I've kind of went a couple minutes over what I wanted to talk about my poll because I just had a bunch of stuff I wanted to address for you, why I've got them here. And so that is what I've got. So you can, in the comment section, you can go ahead and start talking about what you want about the ranking. And, of course, I will possibly give you a chance to have your question answered. So that is my rankings. So, of course, you can go back to the community post, look at them how many times you want to because, just to get – I feel like it's more of an accurate ranking than what the AP is going to give you because I think there's a lot of media people who are just so like, oh, look, Colorado's going to be the best team in college football. So let's get into that, though. Let's get into this Colorado TCU game. What did we see this? Like, what did we see in this game? Well, we saw Shedeur Sanders throw for 510 yards. Then you had a TCU defense that just collapsed And to be honest with you, both defenses are terrible. So here's the thing. With Colorado, there is a couple things I want to say. And that is, one, I feel like there's a lot of just stupid media people out here who, after one game, folks, one little game, they're already saying Colorado's going to the Pac-12 championship. Do you hear how just absurd, stupid that is? Folks, this is the problem with a lot of the media attention that is given to college football, is because they fill people's heads with a team that just went 1-11 last season. Now that everybody expects them to go to the Pac-12 championship, there's no way. Look, if we're all sitting here being honest with ourselves, USC is a better team. Oregon's a better team. Utah's a better team. I mean, that right there to me is the three best teams in the Pac-12. And to be honest with you, I think Utah could eventually win that conference, and Colorado's not going to get close. Okay? This game against TCU, let's be honest, TCU did nothing last season to prove to me they were a playoff team. Look, Alabama was a 2-loss team. I would have put Alabama in the playoff. I mean, you put Tennessee in the playoff, even though Hendon Hooker was injured. You put Joe Milton out there as their quarterback. They would beat the rails off that TCU team last season. Now, how did Michigan lose in that game? I don't understand how Michigan lost to TCU, but if I'm a Michigan fan, that's embarrassing. That is embarrassing. That's the team that I lost to, was a TCU team that has no competition. Like, literally, in that conference, they should not have won. Most of their games they won, they shouldn't have, folks. They were 1-point game, like 1-score games at the end of it, and they got lucky every single time. That is just how TCU won. And I'm not shocked that they struggled against Colorado. Now, them losing? Now, that shocks me, okay? Because I don't think Colorado's all that great. They just beat a bad TCU team. And if I'm being completely honest with you, TCU could be one of these teams where they go from they were 12-0 during the regular season. Then after the regular season ended, they went 1-2, folks. Look, TCU could go from, I believe it's 13-2 all the way to, I feel like, a 6-6 season, folks. Now, whether or not they win their bowl game, I don't know. But TCU, everybody's going crazy because Colorado beat TCU. Get back to me when they actually beat somebody like USC. Get back to me then, because that's when it would be for real then. I mean, come on. So, another game to talk about, Duke and Clemson. Here we go again with just people saying, just these stupid media people. I'm telling you, they're stupid. And here's why. Because Duke, they won on their home field, 28-7 over Clemson. People are already saying that Clemson's dynasty's done. I mean, it's one game. I can't tell you how much, as a fan of college football, I sit here and you have all these people saying, oh, Clemson's done. What are you talking about? Are you actually an expert of college football? Or do you just go where the attention will take you? Because, yeah, it's getting to a lot of attention here. But let's be honest. Clemson, I think, is going to be in the running. They're one of the top 3 teams in the ACC, in my opinion. Now, they just played a bad game against Duke. And if you go back and watch that game, folks, there's such an overreaction to this. Clemson just made some stupid mistakes in the game, okay? They fumbled the ball twice in the red zone. One of those going back for a touchdown. Had they not fumbled the football, they could have scored touchdowns, and they probably would have controlled this game. They probably would have ended up winning the game. Now, what happens after this? To be honest with you, I think Clemson could go and be in that ACC championship against Florida State. Folks, I think it'll happen. And then where's all these media people going to be? Oh, we were so wrong. Or no, they're not going to say they're wrong. Oh, trust me. They're going to be like, oh, look at how good Clemson's doing. Cade Klubnik is the greatest quarterback to come through Clemson. Folks, it's ridiculous. But you got to give credit to Riley Leonard and Duke. Riley Leonard, their quarterback, he played a great game. Duke really, I mean, it's a great win, to be honest with you. It is an incredible win if you are Duke. You just beat the team that's owned the ACC for a decade on your home field, and you made a fool out of them. And then you got the media talking about how bad Clemson is. So, I mean, you did something right in a sense, but I'm telling you, if you're a true fan of college football, this infuriates you that this is the media coverage you get, that you already have the overhype of Colorado where people need to pump the brakes a bit, where you got Clemson is terrible. Folks, pump the brakes. I mean, seriously. I mean, these people are just stupid. But that's enough of me just going ballistic on things because, let's be honest, we need some positivity in this world, and just going ballistic about stuff it's not doing anything. And to be honest with you, it just is it's a shame that there are some people that are like that run big time stuff that you see all the time. So, let's go ahead and do a little Q&A time. If you have any questions, I will answer them here. And so, we got two things about Oklahoma so far. First off, Derek Sanford says, why is Oklahoma so high? And then Colton says, I personally think Oklahoma should have been a little higher, but that's my opinion. No one has to agree. So I had them at, I believe, 19. Let me explain this to you. I mean, let's be honest. I mean, we do need to, I failed to mention about Oklahoma. Oklahoma played against Arkansas State and beat them 73-0. Now, I will say that's impressive. I mean, very impressive, folks. 73-0 for any team to get 73 points. That's impressive. That's pretty good offense. Now, what I will say though is they were playing Arkansas State, and it was week 1. So, week 1, you don't want to overreact because, to be honest with you, there's not a lot to really go by because it's just one little game. So, that's why I didn't move Oklahoma very high, and I left them at 19 because I do think the longer the season goes, Oklahoma, I will say, probably will get better. And to be honest, what you're probably going to see in the Big 12 is you're going to see Oklahoma and Texas for the championship in the Big 12. If you got, let's do this right now. You have 1-loss Texas against 1-loss Oklahoma in the Big 12 championship, and both of them are headed to the SEC next season. That's good football to watch. People are watching that. So, Uh, okay. Um. So if you have any more questions, you can put it in real quick, and I'll try to answer it real quick. If not, I'm going to move on. And of course, I see there's a lot of chat about Alabama's good and Alabama's not good. I've got Alabama at number one for a reason because I think they're the best team in college football. And let me explain right here, right now, why Alabama is the best team in the sport right now. Here's why. Because Jalen Milroe, now, I'm not going to overreact, but I will say that Milroe did play a good game, and it is against Middle Tennessee. And to be honest with you, Milroe, I think the one thing that came into the season is, the Alabama quarterback issue. Will Alabama figure out the quarterback? Let me be honest with you, folks. From what I hear from my producers and my contributor to programs, basically Milroe played the whole game, and what they told me is that he played a good football game. And so what I'm going to take from that is, well, Saban's not going to take him out. Unless Milroe comes out against Texas and just looks like pure garbage, which I don't think is going to happen because there has been some significant increase in ability to play a good football game from him. I think Milroe's the quarterback. Nick Saban's not going to take him out unless he just plays so awful that they have to go to another guy. They've got two other guys that, let's be honest, if they go to other places, they probably are starting quarterbacks. For instance, I feel like, there's an Auburn fan here. Auburn would probably have either Tyler Buckner or Ty Simpson as their starting quarterback. I hate to tell you that, but I feel like Peyton Thorne isn't as good as either of those two quarterbacks. So, I'm just being honest with you, folks. That is just from my personal opinion. And so, you can come at me in the chat if all you want, because if you want to, but Alabama's quarterback issue wasn't really an issue at all. It was just you had three really good quarterbacks there, and it was hard to choose. So, the thing is, I think Milroe's the quarterback. And then Alabama put up, I believe it was like a 59-7 win or 56-7, whatever it was. I think that Alabama's offense is going to be fine. And what Alabama's got to do is really, I think the quarterback issue just got way overblown again with the media people. I'm telling you, if you want good college football content, you either come to me I have no sponsorship stuff with him or anything, but you go to Josh Pate. That's real college football content, folks. So, hey, let's be honest with this. Let's not go to overreacting already. That's all the media does. And so there was already this narrative, Alabama's got a quarterback issue. Well, Alabama I think they figured it out. They've got a big game against Texas, which is going to tell a lot. So, it'll be interesting for sure. And I do have a comment because I do want to highlight this. Will Texas and Bama be a high-scoring game? Folks, I will pick this game Saturday morning. But I will say this. The game, I have a feeling that both defenses have gotten better. And I feel like this is not going to be a high-scoring game, especially from Alabama's defense. I don't see Alabama allowing a lot of points. I think I'm probably going to be in the minority of people picking this to be a low-scoring game. But that's where I'm going. I think this is low scoring, and I do think it comes down to I think Bama I think it comes down to either Alabama kicking a field goal late or Texas kicking a field goal late. What could that score look like? Folks, I think this is a game where you see like 16-13. Like that's how low I think this is going to be because I think both defenses have gotten better. So I mean, the thing is, with Alabama's offensive style, I feel like they're going to be more ground and pound. So Alabama's going to have the ball a whole lot more than what Texas is anyway. I think that's my opinion because Alabama's going to try to run the clock a lot. So that is just a little bit about that game. Just a tiny little preview. So, I mean, I'll give you a full preview Saturday morning because tonight's just more of a reaction and, that kind of thing. So, moving on, let's talk about Tennessee, Virginia, because I had that game Saturday, and early, I could tell there was some first game jitters if you're Tennessee. You had a lot of drop passes. Joe Milton, though, I'm telling you, I think he came in, and he was the question mark for the Vols, and I'm telling you, I thought he played good. Now, although the first quarter, it was just like, his receivers couldn't catch nothing. I will say that he looked calm and collected. Like, he didn't look like he was, like, his body language, what I saw, this looked like a guy who had been starting for a few years now. Like, I was impressed. And they ran away with this game 49-13. But I'm telling you, at the beginning, it was close. Well, first quarter. After that, Tennessee, they turned it on. And I do think that for Virginia, there was some bright spots, but there was just a lot of offensive line is a big thing for them. And really, okay, folks, here's the thing. The 3 out of the 4 games I broadcasted this week and last week, the big thing here is offensive line issues. Like, nobody can defend their quarterback. So, that is the thing. It's like Virginia just didn't have, they just couldn't. The offensive line just played terrible. And receivers did okay for Virginia. Then the run game just couldn't really get going if you're Virginia. And Tennessee they dominated the game. Now, one game, I do believe they are the 6th best team in college football for a reason. And it'll be interesting to see how they do the rest of the year. But I think Tennessee, they're fine. There's no issues with Tennessee yet, except early game, just drop passes, that's got to be cleaned up if you're Tennessee. But other than that, impressive game. So let's move on to North Carolina, South Carolina. And it was a battle of the Carolinas to see who was the real Carolina. And North Carolina ended up winning the game, 31-17. Now, North Carolina came into this game. I think to me, it was an evenly matched game. North Carolina impressively came in and just their defense played really good. Gene Chizik was a great hire, but of course, one game. Thing is, South Carolina, man, they've got to be. That's one of the worst offensive lines I've seen. How do you allow your quarterback to be sacked as much as he was? Like, if they don't get that fixed, I mean, they've got Georgia coming up on the 16th. That's 10 days from now. They've got Georgia at Georgia. Now, folks, I'm not going to lie to you that was a game I was circling like that would be an interesting game if I could broadcast it. And of course, still going to wait and see on that one. But I'm telling you, if they don't fix their offensive line, they're going to get smoked in every single game they play in the SEC. But other than that, Spencer Rattler is, I think, a great quarterback for South Carolina. And Drake May for North Carolina. Oh my goodness. This guy, I don't know if I was really sold on the whole Drake May Heisman hype, but then watching how he played Saturday, he definitely deserves to be in that running for Heisman. He definitely is right there. I mean, I've already said Quinn Ewers will probably win the Heisman. So it'll be interesting to see what happens the rest of the season for South Carolina and North Carolina for that matter too. And then Colton Naylor makes a good point here. This is his opinion. He says, I honestly think South Carolina's O-line wasn't the problem. It was UNC's defense was too elite. I mean, that could be so. But I do have to say, part of it, I think, is the offensive line. Of course, we'll figure out against Georgia if South Carolina's improved any. So, I mean, and of course, it's one game. So, North Carolina, I think, came in, went to Charlotte and just, they were the better team Saturday night. They were just the better team. And again, it's just another game where it was close in the first half. Second half, it became not that much. So, let's see. Let's talk about Florida State LSU real quick. And then we may have time to answer a couple more questions. And then I've got to get an announcement in. And then that'll be it for the night. So, Florida State LSU. What did I see from this one? I saw a game that LSU started out. They were like, this was a game that I thought LSU, after the first half, they looked like the better team in the first half. I don't know what Coach Norvell for Florida State said to his team at halftime, but oh my goodness, they came out of the gates and outscored LSU 31-7 in the second half, folks. After it was 17-14 LSU at halftime. Now, I don't know what happened in that locker room, but Florida State came out and just pounded LSU. It was evident when Florida State first got on the field in the second half, and they just looked like a totally different team. Now, can Florida State do that again where they're down? I mean, it's a close game. It's a 3-point game. But can they do that again where they just, just completely derail the rest of the game for a team? I don't know. I mean, quite possibly they could. Quite possibly they couldn't. I mean, really the big test for them is going to be that Clemson game. Even though people are already saying Clemson's done, let me tell you, Florida State and Clemson is the biggest game this year for the ACC. That or Clemson and North Carolina. Like, those are your two big games in the ACC the whole year. And for Florida State, they've just got to beat Clemson. They have to beat them. And if they don't beat them in the regular season, they better hope that they win out. They better hope Florida State wins out. Florida State better win out. Clemson, I mean, if they want another crack at Clemson, they better hope that both Florida State and Clemson get to the ACC championship to have that chance. Because, to be honest with you, if both teams don't get to the ACC championship game, there's no rematch, and Florida State could go to the playoff, but I'm just saying, like, they controlled this game against LSU in the second half. First half, I thought it was LSU. So, I mean, that's just my opinion. And, okay, here's another thing. Florida State had, I believe, like 8 penalties the whole night to LSU's only 2. Now, how do you lose and only have 2 penalties? I don't understand. But, I mean, just like the Clemson game, there's just questions about how did that happen? We'll probably never know. So, all right. Let's get some of your questions real quick because y'all have got some questions in here. Let's see. Does Quinn Ewers have the worst hair in NCAA history? To be honest with you, it's pretty bad. It's pretty bad. I don't know if it's the worst in the history, but it's pretty sad, folks. And then, do you think Auburn will beat Cal? It'll be close. I will definitely probably pick this on College Football Wraparound Saturday morning, so I will give you the complete answer then. Will Bo Nix win the Heisman? To be honest with you, no. No. Just no. No. Can Auburn have 2 starting quarterbacks? No. It's Peyton Thorne. Peyton Thorne's the quarterback for Auburn. So that's some of your questions. Of course, if you have more, you can put them in the chat. And okay, real quickly though, because I forgot to mention, I'm so sorry to our people listening on Spotify. I forgot to welcome y'all here to the show because this is the first show that y'all are here for. So welcome Spotify listeners. This is incredible to have y'all here and listening to our show, which is being live recorded right now on September 6th. It's 8:53 p.m. Central Time. While this is live, of course, you, the viewers here on the podcast, are listening to this later. So we want to welcome y'all here. And so what I'm doing right now is just going through some chat on YouTube where I am live. And so that's how we roll here. Here is a non-football question. I know for y'all listening on Spotify or watching on YouTube, you don't care if you are not if you're not somebody who watches basketball. But this is, will the Lakers win the finals with the Elite Four in LeBron, AD, Seawood, and D'Lo? To be honest with you, I don't know right now. The NBA is such a, I don't know what to call the NBA. The NBA is just the NBA, folks. I don't know. And then, does Trevor Lawrence have the best hair? To be honest with you, I don't know. I don't care either way. I don't know. Okay. So, real quickly, for those of you on Spotify, you do want to listen to this, though, because, for those on Spotify, you will get a once weekly episode of College Football Wraparound. So that's our Wednesday night live show. And so what we do here is it'll be there's an audio recording of it. It'll be sent out to you on Spotify. Then what we do on Saturdays is we have what we call SBN College Football Saturdays over on YouTube. And so what I do is that I go live at 9:30, and we have SEC wraparound is the first show most of the time, and then you'll have college football wraparound at 10:15 a.m. And then at 11 o'clock, sometimes 11 o'clock we have a game, or if it changes, then the live stream for SBN College Football Saturdays will end, and then you have a game broadcast at either 2:30 or 6 or 6:30, just depending on when the game is. So the announcement for today is that our college football game broadcast for this week will be at 11 a.m. And I did put this in the community post, but these are for who doesn't look at the community post. And so it's an 11 o'clock game in the morning, and that will be Nebraska at Colorado. Now, you may be saying, I'm already, you're like, Cooper, you just talked about how Colorado isn't that good and how you think the media is just overreacting. Okay. But there's a couple more things to this, though, folks, in my selection process here. For one, part of it is that this is a Big 12 rivalry rekindled between a Pac-12 and a Big 10 school with Nebraska and Colorado. So that's the first thing, is that this is a former rivalry game within the old Big 12. So that is a big part of it. But then also, you got Deion Sanders, first-year coach at Colorado, which it wasn't, Deion is a big character. And then you've got Matt Rule, first-year head coach at Nebraska. And Nebraska also, folks, they're 0-1, but they did lose on the last-second field goal to Minnesota in a game they probably could have won had they cleaned up some of their mistakes. So that's my selection process, folks. That is why Nebraska, Colorado, 11 a.m. Saturday morning, we'll be bringing it to you. And really, it should be an interesting game, folks, because I think it's really it's a fun, I think it'll be a fun game. I feel like it'll be close. And so I'm excited to do the game. Just like every other game that I scheduled before, I'm excited to do these games. Now, am I excited they turn into lopsided affairs where you have Tennessee up 49-13 with 8 minutes to go? Not exactly. That's not really what I enjoy as far as broadcasting these games. But here's the thing. College football's back, folks. We are getting to week 2. This could possibly be the best week of college football action. And I've got Nebraska, Colorado. Now, I will explain to you also another part that you may be thinking, oh, well, you should be doing Alabama, Texas. That's the best game of the week. Well, I've got some stuff going on Saturday night, so I will have to do Nebraska, Colorado. That's the only feasible game I can do as far as just time and logistic-wise, how I could work things. So before you say, oh, he should have done Alabama, Texas. Well, I've got other things going on Saturday night that I can't, and I've got an hour drive. I've got to go to this place. So, I can't really help you when it comes to, not getting the absolute best game of the week. But Colorado and Nebraska should be really good. So, that is all for tonight. Had a lot to talk about in just 45 minutes. But you know what? I enjoyed my time broadcasting for you. And for now, just enjoy this college football season. And so with that, we will, of course, be back Saturday morning at 9:30 a.m. SBN College Football Saturdays begins and at 9:30. So you don't want to miss it. Great stuff coming here from the channel. And to my Spotify listeners, thank you for listening. This has been College Football Wraparound. We will see you again next time. Goodbye, everybody.